Hello MMA enthusiasts! Today, we're going to delve into some of the most unexpected twists in the UFC's history. Can you guess which fighter's victory was the biggest surprise to the UFC? Let's find out! In the co-main event of the Ultimate Fighter 13 finale, Anthony Pettis, the WEC lightweight champion, was set to make his UFC debut against Clay Guida. The fight was expected to have near-term title implications. The fight started with Guida bouncing around the cage, confusing Pettis with his movement. After about 70 seconds of posturing, Pettis committed to an attack, a right kick to the thigh, which Guida capitalized on, driving forward and putting Pettis on his back. Guida, despite being on the defensive, was relentless with his movement and never allowed Pettis to get comfortable standing. He was successful on 5 of 8 takedown attempts and spent the majority of all 3 rounds in top control. Despite Pettis' active guard, Guida's wrestling and submission defense were too much for Pettis to overcome. Guida was able to keep Pettis on his back for most of the fight, shrugging off Pettis' submission attempts and roughing him up with irritating shots. In the end, the ringside judges scored the contest 30-27 for the winner by unanimous decision, Clay Guida. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Anthony Pettis. He was not ready for a title shot against Gray Maynard or Frankie Edgar. He needed to improve his takedown defense and his ability to get back to his feet. This was his first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. In the co-main event of UFC 149, Hector Lombard, the former Bellator middleweight champion, was set to make his UFC debut against Tim Boetsch. Lombard was on a 24-fight winning streak and was expected to dominate his opponent. However, Boetsch won the fight, which was a surprising outcome. The fight began with Lombard coming out swinging, as is his typical style. However, when he didn't score a knockout in the first 30 seconds, he settled down, way down. Instead of pressing the action, Lombard chose a puzzling strategy of standing almost completely still and waiting for Tim Boetsch to do something. Boetsch, to his credit, at least circled away from Lombard's power and peppered him with both leg and his patented push kicks. What didn't work for Boetsch were his takedowns. Lombard was able to use his strong base to defend every attempt and even take Boetsch down a few times, although he couldn't keep him there. For Tim Boetsch, he fought a smart game plan that relied on not trading punch for punch with Lombard, and it worked. Now, it wasn't the most exciting plan, but at least he was doing something in this fight. He made Lombard look like he was lost out there. The leg kicks and push kicks from the outside were scoring as well, and while he couldn't put Lombard on his back, it was nice to see him at least be aggressive with his takedowns to keep Lombard guessing. In the end, the judges scored the bout 29-28 Boetsch, 29-28 Lombard, and 29-28 Boetsch, giving him the split decision victory. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Hector Lombard. He was not ready for a title shot against Anderson Silva. He needed to improve his takedown defense and his ability to get back to his feet. This was his first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. Paige Van Zandt, a hot prospect in the strawweight division, was set to face top-ranked strawweight Rose Namajunas. However, Namajunas won the fight, which was surprising given Van Zandt's impressive performances. The fight started with Van Zandt coming out strong, but Namajunas quickly took control. Namajunas battered Van Zandt throughout the fight, opening a large gash on Van Zandt's cheek in the first round. Despite being outclassed, Van Zandt endured, even when nearly submitted multiple times. However, she made things more difficult for herself by constantly going for a judo throw, which Namajunas reversed every time, ending up on top. In the 5th round, Van Zandt's luck finally ran out as Namajunas secured a rear naked choke. Despite her valiant efforts, Van Zandt couldn't find her way out, and she tapped out. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Paige Van Zandt. She was not ready for a title shot against the current champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk. She needed to improve her judo throws and her ability to get back to her feet. This was her first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. Sage Northcutt, a rising star in the welterweight division, was set to face Bryan Barberena. However, Barberena won the fight, which was surprising given Northcutt's impressive performances. The fight started with Northcutt coming out strong, but Barberena quickly took control. Northcutt landed several right hands in the first round, opening up a cut above Barberena's right eye, but he tired himself out. Every time Northcutt pushed the action, Barberena tied him up and smothered him. In the second round, Northcutt was exhausted. He threw a right hand and fell, trying to recover by rolling forward with a desperate kick before landing on his back. Barbarina jumped on him and nailed him with several elbows to the head. Although Northcutt tried to defend from his back, Barbarina was the stronger of the two men. Barbarina submitted Northcutt with a triangle arm choke that didn't appear to be fully locked in. The victory is the first blemish for the heavily hyped Northcutt, who falls to 7-1. Barbarina moves to 11-4. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Sage Northcutt. He was not ready for a title shot against the current champion Conor McGregor. He needed to improve his endurance and his ability to recover from exhaustion. This was his first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. Holly Holm, the reigning UFC Women's Bantamweight champion, was set to defend her title against Miesha Tate. However, Tate won the fight, defeating Holm to become the new UFC Women's Bantamweight champion. The fight started with Holm looking relaxed in her stance, using her distance and range to keep Tate on the end of her punches and kicks. Holm launched a series of kicks to the body and legs before launching a head kick towards the end of the round. Tate did a good job blocking the shot while returning fire with a couple of hard punches over the top for her only real offense in the opening round. However, in the second round, Tate rushed forward and landed a big double leg takedown to put Holm on the mat. Tate was tenacious in her attacks as she peppered away at Holm punches and short elbows from inside the half guard of the champion. Tate was absolutely relentless as she hammered Holm with some hard elbows before transitioning to take her back with just over a minute to go in the round. Tate quickly latched onto the rear naked choke, and it looked like the fight might be over, but Holm somehow squirmed until she was able to get free of the submission as the horn finally sounded. In the fifth and final round, Tate dragged Holm to the ground and choked her out to become the new UFC Women's Bantamweight champion. This victory put Tate on top of the world as she wins her first UFC championship while handing Holm the first loss of her professional career. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Holly Holm. She was not ready for a title shot against the current champion Amanda Nunes. She needed to improve her ability to endure takedowns and her ability to recover from exhaustion. This was her first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. Mirko Cro Cop, a feared heavyweight striker, was set to face Gabriel Gonzaga. However, Gonzaga won the fight, knocking out Cro Cop with a head kick, which was a surprising outcome. The fight started with Cro Cop looking confident, but Gonzaga quickly took control. Gonzaga took Cro Cop down and pounded him with unanswered elbows for a number of minutes. Cro Cop seemed out of his element in the cage and perhaps somewhat dizzied from the elbow strikes. When the action resumed on the feet, Gonzaga shocked the world by flatlining his opponent with a head kick at the 4:51 mark. Cro Cop collapsed under his own weight, his knee buckling beneath him, a victim of the same high kick that paved his way to fame and fortune 9. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Mirko Cro Cop. He was not ready for a title shot against the current champion Randy Couture. He needed to improve his ability to recover from exhaustion. This was his first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. Ronda Rousey, the dominant UFC Women's Bantamweight champion, was set to defend her title against Holly Holm. However, Holm won the fight, defeating Rousey to become the new UFC Women's Bantamweight champion. The fight started with Rousey looking confident, but Holm quickly took control. Holm landed several punches and kicks, causing Rousey to step back and defend. Holm continued to press the action, landing several punches that forced Rousey to retreat. In the second round, Holm landed a powerful kick to Rousey's head, knocking her out. The blow sent Rousey toppling to the canvas, ending the fight. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Ronda Rousey. She was not ready for a title shot against the current champion Amanda Nunes. She needed to improve her ability to recover from exhaustion. This was her first fight in the UFC, and they always say the first one is the toughest one. Ronda Rousey, the dominant UFC Women's Bantamweight champion, was set to defend her title against Amanda Nunes. However, Nunes won the fight, retaining the title. The fight started with Rousey looking confident, but Nunes quickly took control. Nunes landed several punches and kicks, causing Rousey to step back and defend. Nunes continued to press the action, landing several punches that forced Rousey to retreat. In the second round, Nunes landed a powerful punch to Rousey's face, stunning her. Rousey continued to receive violent blows that started to erode her agility and reaction time. Within 30 seconds, Ronda Rousey was struggling to stay on her feet. Nunes remained in unbelievable form and distributed punches to her opponent's face without mercy. This unexpected outcome was a learning experience for Ronda Rousey. She was not ready for a title shot against the current champion Amanda Nunes. She needed to improve her ability to recover from exhaustion. And that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to discuss these fights or have any questions, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and let's see you in the next video.